Valorant episode 170. We're at you live from Madrid. At least 3 of us are. I mean, that's why Mimi and Bren's cameras are so bad. I don't understand how you've got things so poorly.
I think the CBD gummy is hitting Bren with that little face. He looks so happy in the content way.
Hi,
like
Bren.
the no thoughts way.
Hey everybody, can you play the metal pipe?
What was last week's episode?
Yeah, we've already...
Okay.
We've done that
Never
joke.
mind.
You can go back and look at the metal pipe.
I would like the metal pipe at some point when I'm not expecting it, please. That's my request for this episode.
Do you have any silly sounds?
Boy.
Are there any other silly sounds, Kurt? Like you know, like a clown nose, like that kind of thing.
I haven't pre-programmed them. I have like fart noises with like really old predictions, like this. I don't remember what that was for.
Wow. That was all crew winning. I mean, when did we even predict that? That must have been so early on last year.
Champions 2021, perhaps?
That was an old one.
I don't know.
Incredibly old. Mimi, Bren, how are you settling into life in Madrid? You look jet lagged, Bren.
I'm ready for bed.
Okay.
If we can wrap this up sometime soon, that'd be good.
Wrap this up! We just began. We've only been live for 2 minutes.
I'm also ready to end the episode.
I got in after being told today we were like, you get in at 2, do your wardrobe stuff for Madrid, and they were like, you're gonna rehearse at 5. We get to 5. We don't rehearse. They're like, okay, you're gonna rehearse at 6. You're gonna be needed. And then we get to 6, and it's like, we're not quite ready for you. You can go. And so I went back to the hotel, and Alice was here, and Alice had the lights all off, and she was sleeping, and I was like, ooh, that looks quite tempting. I think I'll sleep too. And
well,
so
thank you for not sleeping.
I did sleep. I just woke up.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, excellent.
So
excellent.
I'm in a bit of a. I'm ready for eat
amateurs. I'm surrounded by amateurs, Wyatt. Just get yourself over here for Lord's sake.
Bren is not an amateur. He's accepting the Spanish lifestyle of having a good work-life balance, working for 4 hours, complaining, and then taking a nap.
That's just immediately disrespectful to the entire country that we're in right now. So
I think it's fucking awesome. I think it's fucking awesome. Oh,
right. Okay. And demonetized instantly as well. Well, thankfully, we actually have a sponsor for this episode. Otherwise, Mimi would have completely trolled our wallet. So thank you, Mimi, for giving me the perfect segue into our sponsor for this episode, which is Into the AM, who are a mostly graphic tee company, but they also do stuff that isn't graphic tees. Now, you might have noticed that we're all wearing tees for this, and they're all available at intotheam.com, and you can use intotheam.com/PLATCHAT or use the code PLATCHAT for 10% off, and they have some extra bundles that you can get. But basically, this is a t-shirt site where you can get extremely comfy t-shirts ranging from, I want to do a bit of a style show off here. Kurt's showing you the site, but you can get something very basic, you know, like a plain white V-neck with a little logo on. Looks very reasonable. And then you can amp it up a little bit, and Mimi's got an example of that.
I've got the next step up here. I got a skull in a whiskey glass, but it's on a black t-shirt. And it's pretty sweet. I don't know what to say. But it's a bit of a silly design, but the t-shirt, incredibly comfortable. It's legitimately very soft, like fits well, and is like clearly well made. There are so many like cheap, I've already sworn, so cheap, shitty t-shirts out there, but this one legitimately cozy and feels nice.
I think that
sponsors always love it when you compare them to bad competitors as well.
No, I said they're the opposite.
I know you did. But okay. Anyway, so ramping it up in terms of the graphic design, Bren, do you want to show yours off?
Yeah, I decided to go for an extra small, and I got an astronaut working out because for me,
he's showing the guns off.
I'm a big fan of space, and I just wanted to show the guns. You know what I mean?
Those carries are not concealed.
So I love science. I love working out, and I love steroids.
Not very much space in your sleeves there, Bren. And then, Wyatt, apparently, we haven't even seen your t-shirt. You've kept it secret.
Now, there's one thing that I love. And it's America, baby. It is America. I've got the
That's actually
freedom to yawn.
Wait, that's
God
so
bless.
sick.
God bless.
What size is that?
This is a 4XL. I really wanted it to be.
It actually looks
I
sick
just,
though.
I just
does
really
look
wanted
it more than mine.
I wanted to cozy it up
I mean, that does show.
and
Anyone
celebrate
can
my
get an
favorite
Instagram shirt.
country.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. You can be, you know, XXXXL, and they've still got shirts for you. They've got bundles at a discount as well, so you can get a bundle deal for their graphic tees, which is 3 for $60. You get the 10% off on top of that by using the code PLATCHAT. And yeah, thanks to Into the Game for sponsoring us, because listen, we ain't making any money when you know, Mimi's dropping the F-bombs in the first 3 minutes of the show. So we appreciate the companies that are willing to support us, and we appreciate you, the viewers, for going and supporting those companies too, so that they continue giving us money, so that we can continue doing the show. So, you know, all good. And yeah, very comfy, very cozy. Let's get on to Madrid. Let's talk the tournament that we're at, that we're getting ready to cover. But actually, before we even discuss any of that stuff, I feel like we have you seen all of the moves that have been happening this week? It's like a bomb just went off with all of the teams that went 0 and 2, or 1, even the teams that went 1 and 2. They're making changes already. It's wild.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Life is cruel for some people. It really is. But here we are. Here we are. Changes must happen. Money needs to be made. Business needs to continue. The war machine needs to keep getting oiled.
And that's
Cloud9
that.
release
What?
Whippy.
Is this
Right, and what relevance does that have to Cloud9 releasing Whippy? The war machine must be
the
oiled.
military-industrial complex? What does this mean
know,
for
just
Whippy's future?
Capitalism just keeps on churning and it doesn't care who gets in the way.
Next episode is going to be brought to you by Northrop Grumman.
I love how Bren's saying all this. Look at his... Can you go to his full screen again? I mean, just this little head in a big world.
Dude, you think BlackRock would sponsor us next episode?
Okay.
All right, let me. So it's not just Whippy being released though. They're looking to also bench Jake, and
Right.
the report from Alejandro Gomez is that they're bringing in Rooney and Moose as the replacements for them. So bringing back their old IGL from last year, who they already have an IGL on the team, that's Vanity, and bringing in Moose, who hasn't played for quite a while, though. I mean, he looked decent like back when he did most recently play. Am I wrong in saying that he hasn't played in a while? Has he been playing in Tier 2 recently?
He played last season.
Yeah, he did. He was on Turtle Troop.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I've forgotten all about that then.
I'm struggling to remember if I go back
Yeah,
in the history
YFP.
books.
Okay.
He was on YFP. He was on... I mean, I know he was playing
YFP
somewhere. He was on...
was
Oh, he was on
this
Shopify. He was on Moist Shopify. That's the team he was on last year. I think Moose is really good. I think that's a good pickup, to be honest. I think he's been a candidate for a shot on a Tier 1 team for... Or, you know, Tier 1 Pepe laugh, but like, you know what I mean. like a partnership team, top team. I think he's been really good for literally forever. And has always just remained on that same kind of level of team.
Can I wind it back though a little bit? Do we think that Cloud9 needed to make changes after...
Yes.
Okay, why? Why do you think they needed to make changes?
Because they didn't just go 0-2. They've been on a downswing for months. It's, you know, I'm looking at the tournaments previous to this one. They had a hot start in the offseason, and it's just been a slow decline. I get why they made changes. I think it's reasonable. I mean,
Dude, it's actually the Bala narrative, which I dislike because it's so simplistic. It's just so true again. Bala, every time he talks about vanity-led teams, says that they're good early and then they fall off.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's really simplistic. I mean, is that always true? Literally, Cloud9 look good at the beginning in the offseason, have a bit of a run at the start when they're taking things maybe more seriously than other teams. Look like they have a chance to beat Fnatic, for example, and then now are already making changes right when the season begins.
Isn't that just
But what if I were to tell
true
you?
with Cloud9 EA last year? Isn't that just Ball is lying? Didn't they say?
But Vanity wasn't on the team.
Vanity-led teams, he's saying. Not Cloud9 in general, but just Vanity-led teams.
Yeah,
I mean,
Vanity was on it before they cut him in
but
EA.
they played
it
like
doesn't
2
really count.
matches.
And they
They
lost.
played one. No, they
Well,
played
yeah, but
they literally.
Listen, I'm the advocate of Satan. I'm just giving an option.
But the sample size is yeah, like Mimi says, it's one match against
They
Paper
won
Rex.
one game and they lost one
So?
game. That's not real. I don't believe in that. I think though this is a great move because they get the vanity honeymoon phase again, and that's perfect. And now they'll be great
you
for like the
can't.
first 4 weeks. And then,
Was that
God.
true
I hate
even
this.
on version 1 when they went to Reykjavik? Has anyone have we researched this at all?
dude, Wyatt, stop asking
don't think
questions. You know
that's
what happens to
true.
whistleblowers.
I need to. I feel like this conversation
feel like this
needs
is a
Bala
lie.
here to defend his take. Because we've never analyzed the take in more detail, but he's brought it up a few times. And listen, we can bring it up next time we have him on the
Because I
show,
clearly remember. Listen, let's give this 20 more minutes. I clearly remember version 1 in 2021 or whatever. They were slowly getting better as the year went on. Like, you know, and then Reykjavik time, and then they qualified.
You know what?
I believe
Damn.
this is just a lie.
Guys,
That's fine.
right.
It's fine. It has nothing
Guys,
to do with nothing.
It's time to interrupt this. It's time for a pizza review. I just got the room service in.
This
So-
reminds
It's like a
me very much of our
salad.
unreleased Istanbul episode.
This is a pizza.
This is what happened
pizza's
during our
got some,
unreleased Istanbul episode, and then Bren smashed a plate with a bunch of glass in
the
an
elevator.
elevator.
Yeah, I smashed a ton of glass in the elevator and water, and it went everywhere.
And then just left it in that and the
Pizza
elevator
pie. I
descended.
did. No, I called them. I gave them a call. But this time we got the pizza pie. We got some other stuff over there. We'll get
Right.
what's the pizza review? Anybody? What the hell? How do I get that? A little slice of this?
Hey, Bren,
One
can
bite,
you like
everyone
just
knows
put
the
your
rules.
arms down? Put your arms down. Just look at the camera without the pizza.
Bren's pizza review. Oh, look at that! Look at that cheesy pull. Oh, that's quite nice. I like that.
That's a big slice, man.
It's got a
big slice.
lot of
That's-
droop.
That's
got a lot of droop
110
to it.
degrees.
Yep,
That's an
let's take a-
obtuse slice of pizza.
Looks hot. Is it piping?
Test.
The tension is rising.
It's not piping, but it's good. It's oily.
Right.
That was basically just cheese.
Right. While
It is
Bren
like the
consumes the
Istanbul pizza,
pizza,
I'll
I
give
do
that
want to
a-
move this episode along a little bit.
Let's just go to the next topic.
I'll give it a.
Are we giving any time to Cloud9? Seriously?
I mean,
do we want to do it?
Do you think it's going to make them better?
It won't make them
I think-
worse.
I think it seriously might though, because Cloud9 are in serious need to divide merchant back. Zalsis, I think, made that team in its core, and a lot of its success, because they don't feel like a team based off structure. They feel like a team based off, if we're winning, we're having fun and we're getting along, and then we play together a lot more. And then I don't know what the hell is. I don't claim to know the internal dynamic, but it feels like this team is heavily based on just the alignment of the moon and Mercury in retrograde at times. Like I just don't. It doesn't feel like any consistency towards their play as a team.
Yeah.
That I can measure. It just feels so wishy-washy, and if they start losing as a team, it just feels like they go, ooh, all the way
Do you
back
think
down
either
again.
of these players will be that emotional leader? Like Celsius was that?
Maybe not the emotional
'Cause I
lead,
don't
but
know
I think
if-
they might need a shake-up. I think they might just want a shake-up, which I'm finding it surprising, to be honest, because clearly they didn't like something in Rooney's play to drop him back then, and they picked him back up again as an interim
I
player.
mean, mate, they were thinking about dropping Rooney during playoffs.
Yeah.
Yes.
that's what I
and
mean.
To bring a player like
they were
that back
scrimming
is...
with their like assistant coach. I mean,
they were
Sixman
scrimming with
Cooper.
somebody
He's
else.
like a real pro player, but they were scrimming with
Yeah.
Cooper ahead of playoffs. Like,
Yeah.
I think to me that screams there was some kind of weird internal dynamic with the old Cloud9 that had something to do with Rooney for them to make that decision. So it's kind of surprising to me that they're bringing back, but we don't know enough about what happened internally to really speak to
I
it.
also think I also think that it's a very strange decision to get rid of Jake when Jake is actually more on the same page as somebody like Oxy. They're both players that are willing to make the move in the moment to try to seize an opportunity. If they're trying to go more structured play by bringing in people who are a bit more passive, solid, structured, which is how I would describe Rooney and Moose rather than a player like Jake, not necessarily Wippie, but certainly the benching of Jake, then if you're aiming for that, I don't think Oxy's ever going to fit into that system really well. I think your win conditions with a team like this are to play the like aggressive, dynamic post-plant stuff that we saw from Cloud9 last year. And I don't think this roster is going to do it. Don't think the last roster did either. I think you need people like Leaf and Celsius on the team to pull that kind of style off. And that's the situation where Jake is going to thrive. And I don't think, they looked so out of sync, to be honest, this version of Cloud9. They're super loose. They don't look like they have the same coordination between them. Is that pizza good, mate?
Keep talking. I'm enjoying this episode so far. You were bobbing on.
Let's move on to the next topic. As Wyatt says, Vala's going to the playground, hopefully for his children or his child.
What do you mean for? What do you mean hopefully? He has a daughter. He's a stay-at-home dad now. That's why he's not in Madrid. What do you?
I don't know. He might just be going to the playground to hang out. I mean, it's late at night, isn't it? Oh, it's late at night here. I suppose it's not late at night
here, man.
Yeah.
What the hell are you talking about?
It's actually 5 p.m. there.
When I think going to the playground, the last time I went to playgrounds was when I was like a teen and I was drinking in the woods. So that's just immediately I just think of adolescent behavior. I don't think of like being a responsible father. Let's move on to the next topic though. The next topic's another interesting one, but like a bottom of the barrel kind of team again. Another team that's making changes already. Bleed. Looking to bench 2 of their players, Egoist and Crazy Guy. Egoist has already retired off the back of this too, to go back to school. And they're looking to pick up Zest, awesome move, and Relta, who's been on the team before and had to take 2 years out for army service. Is this going to move the needle? This looked like another team that was just really out of sync, and they've talked about the issues within the team.
I think this team needs to take these changes. If they're going to play Yay and work with Yay, put them on Chamber full time. Get somebody to int on Neon or Raze and just create space for Yayster. And someone also needs to give Yay a back rub, a banana, and a fucking pep talk. Because this man needs his confidence back. Listen, son, you're one of the best fucking players in the world. Do I need to be the motherfucker to do it for you? Do I need to be the one to rise you up? I know you're going to be watching this, Yayster. You're one of the best fucking players in the world. Don't let them talk shit about you. Don't listen to the fucking VLR comments. Don't listen to Reddit. Fuck them. Fuck them. Take a little break. Take a little bit of time off. But just know, you're the fucking GOAT. So go out there, click some fucking heads, shoot some heads, rip them off, convince your team, say, fuck you guys. I don't know who the fuck plays Neon or Raze. I don't give a fuck. Tell them to run in, create some space for you. You run in, clean them up, get a 4K, 5K. You're back to normal. Go do that shit. And I think Zest is not going to be that guy. He's not going to be playing Neon or Raze, but he's a good player. I like Zest. I hated the fact that DRX dropped him. So I like Zest coming in. Don't really have much to say about Router. But that's what Bleed need to do, and I'll tell you right now, if they fucking follow that playbook, they'll be making Shanghai, they'll be making champs.
I swear to God, if they put Yay on Viper again with this new team, I am just gonna, there's a desk right here.
There's no way.
I'm gonna eat it. My camera froze. Can you guys still see me? Is this
yes, we can still see you.
We can.
Hello?
You have like the
you seem to be trying to eat your
you're
desk.
leaning in. Yeah,
if you think about it, I'm the real crazy guy.
Wyatt, can I get a less deranged take from you, perhaps?
I just hope Zest does all right, and I hope they don't. I hope his career doesn't get double boomed, because I would consider myself a Zest enjoyer, and I despise how he's been used in the past year and a half by DRX. And I hope he just doesn't get boomed again by a disorganized Bleed team. And I think he should just play Chamber full-time. Chamber's better. He can put down a little trip so he doesn't have to look at the mini-map anymore every 3 seconds when he's opping. He can just play his game. I think that would be the best thing for them. And I think if they do that, I think they'll be all right. I think they'll be okay. I don't think they're going to be contending for playoffs, but I think they can be in the mid-table, have a reasonable year.
I think that Zest can bring a much-needed voice of reason to this team. It sounded like there was some drama inside, and like there was like factions within the team, or there's been all sorts of. The streets have been talking. Let me tell you about what was happening with Old Bleed. But I think this is a chance for, similar to what we're talking about with Cloud9, complete vibe reset, complete role reset, put people on things that make sense, bring in a veteran player like Zest, who's really, really incredible individually on a variety of roles. He's one of the best initiators in the region. region, and also just hyper experienced. He's been playing since the late 1800s, and he's ready to talk some sense into this team and just be like, fucking put Ye on chamber, fix it. He is gonna make Bleed great, and by that I mean they'll be like a 5th, 6th team in Pacific.
I also think that Bleed were the exact example that I would use of a team that didn't necessarily have an IGL problem so much as they just weren't on the same page about anything that they were doing throughout all of their matches. They looked like they were completely mentally out of it and weren't sticking to any kind of coherent game plan whatsoever during their games. I mean, it was some of the worst Valorant that we've seen the entirety of Kickoff watching Bleed. They clearly had internal issues because no team can play that badly whilst trying. Like, when everyone's on the same page, no team plays that badly. But, you know, when you're at a pro level, at least you have some ideas about what your defensive setups look like and how you rotate. I mean, Bleed just
What
had no
about
clue.
Liquid, the first round of lock-in?
Yeah, I mean, again, that team had no clue what they were doing. On the attack side, that team was dreadful. And I don't know whether that was internal issues or whether they just hadn't put any time in. But, I mean, they improved from that, didn't they? They didn't stay there.
Oh, not the pepperoni. Was that a little pepperoni that fell? Oh, no. Now there's sauce on the desk. It's a whole thing.
It was a tomato. It was a little cherry tomato.
Oh, now there's juices all over the desk. It's the whole thing.
I quit, guys. I'm going to bed. This sucks.
All right, in order to appease Bren, let's talk about Sentinels. You want to talk Sentinels, Bren? Oh, look at him. He's pogging. Look at him.
Oh, I love Sentinels.
Little guy's pogging. Well, unfortunately, we're not talking about the main roster, but they've signed Curry. Do you like Curry? You watch streams?
I like when he hits #1 in ranked.
Yeah, that's what he does that a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, in the different regions.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know which region he liked the best?
No.
Yeah, I don't know either. But he definitely said that. Like, he did a review of all the different regions. I can't remember which he ranked the highest. I think it was maybe like Brazil or APAC.
Why have they got a 6-man?
I assume because they needed a 6th last year, and so it seems like a bit of hubris to not have one, if I had to guess. I mean, they did need one last year, right?
A big streamer can be a salesman for their bundle, is also a legitimately good player that if they ever need an emergency sub can put him in. It seems like, honestly, very similar to Marv when Marv was still in the position where he just wanted to be a streamer and stuff. It's a win-win. It's a player who has shown to be good in the past. You can be a streamer when you want, and yeah, it seems good for everyone.
Sentinels haven't hit their guaranteed 700k per month burn rate so far in 2024, so they're just upping the costs a little further so that they hit the margins that are necessary for the sushi owner to put more money in.
There's also a 50% chance that Tens will miss a game because he'll sprain his ankle or have some other injury and they need Curry. So listen.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting that they've now allowed Pancada to look for offers with no buyout. Pancada was rumored to be like associated with FURIA, but then declined the offer. That was the recent reporting around it, and it looks like Pancada won't end up at least anywhere in the short term with the look at things. But there are still like other teams making moves. It looks like Noz was going over to FURIA to replace who is it? Liazi, I think, was the most recent rumor around that as well.
Yes.
So, yeah, there's plenty of teams making moves, man. There's stuff all over the place happening. It seems very early compared to last year because it's not like, I don't know.
Well, there's
like,
no
it's
more
not like
roster
where
lock, so teams
couldn't make moves, so it's very early compared to last
year.
Well,
you could make moves between lock-in and stage 1 beginning last year.
For the teams that lost lock-in, it was 1 match. This had a longer off-season.
This is 2.
There's more time to think in between. Yeah, that's literally double, Josh. What's
the
two
point? Teams, though, that are making changes are teams that were active in the off-season, though. C9 and FURIA.
Yeah.
So they have way more evidence. And both clearly need to make moves, in my opinion. FURIA need Noswar. I want to see Noswar back IGLing that team like we're in 2021 and just taking the reins and just... I want to see just a system instilled by the man. Take over the team fully. Run things like a well-oiled machine.
I don't think that's the rumor, though, that he's picking up the IGLing, is it? Is that just your dream?
I don't know. I mean, he just used to IGL for Furia. Yes, that would be my dream. I'd like to see that team be reformatted by a new leadership structure. And by that, I mean the Nosward dictatorship over the team, where he just completely controls everything. Because left to their own devices, they are just they have no direction. And when they do have direction, it is not ideal. So
pretty sad for Liazzi, though. I feel like Liazzi actually had a good kickoff run. I wasn't expecting too much from him, but he was. I mean, he was better than Havoc if we're going to compare like to like on the same team.
He was really good against NRG.
Yeah, they must believe in Havoc more by the look of this, or maybe they just thought the roles fit a little better. But yeah, unusual. But a lot of teams looking like they want to make changes. There's changes happening in EMEA as well, I believe, but I'm not sure whether there's any solid reporting about what's going on over there. So I don't want to necessarily talk about stuff if we don't have sources for it.
Is this the streets,
you know
or?
I can't remember whether I've heard it from the streets or whether I've heard it from a proper source.
Would you like to just leak it?
No. No, I wouldn't.
The streets are talking.
No, I thought this was a rumor that was out there already.
The streets are talking.
I mean, the streets are talking a lot, though. It feels like a lot of teams are making changes before stage one.
But I guess it comes. Googles to see if it's public.
Yeah.
Who?
Literally.
What team, Josh? Could you give me a hint?
No, because. Well, no, because then if I confirm it, I mean, that's literally just...
What if I make a guess and you just make a noise? Like, you don't even have to... Like, you don't have to say.
You're killing me.
Just
You're
make
killing me.
a noise. You know what I mean?
Absolutely killing me.
Oh, wait, no, there is totally a rumor. It's a public rumor about Nookie and Giant X. That was public. Okay. Was that what you were looking for?
Yes, that would have been that would have been the greatest. That would have been the greatest bait as well if you just said that. Right, I've been lost in the Madrid prep, so I haven't been looking at everything.
Yeah, that was Giant X, and it's something to do with Nookie, and they're getting someone. I forget who.
The streets are talking. What are they saying?
Aren't they picking up
You have the info. What?
I have the info on the ground.
Purpo, sorry, here it is. 4 days ago.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry about this. Yeah, I was late on the uptake of
Kurt, just
this
cut out
because
the
I
dead
forgot
air from that one.
Yeah, don't worry. We definitely know what we're talking about, and we are not busy prepping Madrid and scrambling to get this kind of stuff out there. But yeah, the source from Sheep Esports, which I think was Alejandro Gomez again. Yeah, it was in combination with Arman Luke. Who said Purpo reaching an agreement with Giant X to replace Nookie in VCT, which, I mean, again, Giant's looking to make changes after being in a group with both of the, finalists, right? Like, that group was low-key, outrageously stacked. We just didn't realize it at the beginning. And the problem with this is, outside of the Nozwa swap, and maybe Zest to Bleed, I just can't really see the vision with most of the other changes that are happening around the scene. And maybe I feel like some of this is because people are stuck in just having limited options because a lot of people have already been picked up. I don't know how you all feel about this, but I'm not like inspired by a ton of these moves.
I wasn't inspired by Carmine Core, and look where they are now. I wasn't inspired by a lot of teams, and look where they are now. I mean,
okay.
I'm personally... the confidence in my own ability to read the game and the state of things in Valorant has just tanked ever since this season's began. Even though I've got every prediction right, which you can fact check that, it's true.
Fact check by real American patriots.
You can fact check that. It's very true.
No confidence.
Very true.
Yet got everything right.
Curious. Yeah, and what does that say about me? Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's a weird one, right? When they were in the strongest group, that they would make shifts like this, especially quite drastic shifts if they're I don't know if they're moving Vitinho. I thought Vitinho was fantastic last season in the duelist position, in that duelist role. But maybe it's just some internal discussion of what they want at a team, maybe how they view it. There's been a lot of teams this year where they have their duelist player just playing flex, and they get a ton of... I mean, teams get a ton more out of them when they're not just locking them solely into a duelist position. Maybe some part of that is Vitinho trying to move more into a flex role, and then it'll open up the team. I don't know. What's Mimi?
Have you heard the news?
Where is
The
this
news? What are you, an
Neil Zinho
Oblivion character?
What is the Neil Zinho thing?
Oh, I was capping, really.
Have
I
you
don't
seen
know.
And
the
you said it
sites?
again.
No, I didn't.
Well, I'm lost.
I said
I'm
it once, and then I realized in my head that it was wrong, and then I didn't say it again. But I was thinking of
know nothing.
okay. What?
Mimi, what are the streets
I
saying?
feel like I'm passing by an NPC in a cloud district. What news are you peddling
Can you press the
to us?
interact key, please, Brent? Press the interact key.
What news are you peddling?
I talked to an unknown source. Fun plus Phoenix have beaten Loud in a scrim.
That's not true.
That's not true.
No.
No, Mimi's doing the baller and lying again on the streets
There's
of
no
talking.
way.
13-11 on Ascent.
13-11 on
The
Ascent.
Yoru dominated. The
I don't
Phoenix
believe it.
Bridge.
The
don't
FBX
believe it.
comp.
I don't, Brent. She is literally lying. I can't
Again,
believe
I mean,
anything
that could
she's
have
saying.
definitely... Loud could have practiced A hits for 11 rounds in a row. It's no, like,
They could have done.
It fucking doesn't matter. It's
That
a
is true.
scrim.
And Loud
No.
are changing their comp. They're not
What?
committed to Phoenix Breach.
I mean, if that's
I-
true, you probably shouldn't reveal that. So I'm going to assume you're lying. Otherwise, you will feel the death blow from the Brazilian fans on your social media. If they
what's so
come in and
funny
they're
is-
playing a new comp, that's just, you shouldn't say that.
What's so funny is as well, Mimi probably is lying, and then they honestly might just change the comp anyway, and then it'll look like Mimi's leaked it completely.
Oh, goddamn.
Christ.
Oh god.
I have
Now-
something juicier though.
Oh?
Oh, here we go.
Sentinels are practicing.
Well, that's
with
good.
Curry.
Oh, I don't
With Curry?
No, they're not.
You're fucking lying.
That's a lie.
You're
That's
just
not-
fucking lying.
That's just not true.
Tens fell asleep during scrims. They subbed him out.
That's
I mean, that's
definitely
true.
not true.
That's true. They posted that on social media.
Is Curry
Wait,
Saw the
really?
even
tweet.
in the country?
Sleeping during scrims. Curry grinding.
There's no way
They'll
that
play their
Curry's in
match.
Madrid with them, is he?
No, I don't think he's in Madrid.
Do you not see this post by Sentinels? What do you think the big news is, sheep? Wake up.
probably,
Curry was
Wake up.
streaming from his bedroom
Wake up.
yesterday. He was
And
streaming
you don't think that's a
for
green screen?
8
You don't think they know how to
hours.
lie to you? You can't see the signs when they blind you in the eyes.
Damn, we have the same
Oh
Jordans.
god.
Oh,
It's okay. They
I,
stole my swag. You need
I
it.
have heard some stuff from the streets.
yeah.
Jesus
One of
wept.
the things is
Just-
very no serious stuff from the street. What is that?
That killed me. That post killed me. Look at the
Never
original.
Wow.
Look on the original quote tweet. See what it's based off of.
Wow. Audio listeners in shambles right now. I can't possibly explain what we're witnessing.
This entire episode is a nightmare for anyone listening to this in their car. Part of it was Brent eating a pizza, and we just watched.
Yeah.
That was, that was
He did
part
tell
of
us what the
episode.
pizza was like. He told us at least like what the review of the pizza
A
was.
little, yeah. To some,
I mean,
yeah.
half of this is just Mimi in the dark, shining a green light on her head, making up lies on the internet.
Well, Josh, what's your new
Celsius
lie?
was spotted busking in the street. He's not
Josh.
practicing.
What's
He's
your
just
new lie?
selling skins.
What's my new lie? Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you something real that happened.
Okay.
I met Zesh at the bar, and we had a conversation,
oh, yeah.
and he was telling me off for only being happy when Carmine called lose. And I was trying to tell him, no, it's different now. It's different. It's different. He wouldn't believe me. He wouldn't believe me. I walked past the Sentinels players.
Oh, sorry, I'm back.
Zelsis offered me a fist bump. I fist bumped Zelsis. I then didn't realize that the rest of the Sentinels players were behind them, so I just egoed the shit out of them all by accident. Which isn't good when already I've, making off-season YouTube videos about tens and then egoing tens.
He is not beating the hates tens allegations.
Excellent. That is excellent.
I mean, completely unintentional as well, but, not going to appear that way. What else? I did learn something very interesting, but unfortunately it does have like real match implications, so it'll have to wait until after. But I'll talk to you about it next time we do an episode. I mean, because it's similar to like Mimi's lie. It could actually influence one of the matches that's happening.
It's crazy. Whoever the fuck that was in my room, I heard what they were saying. Loud is gonna change the comp, and they're gonna get destroyed for making that up.
Oh, good job it isn't any of us. Good job it was someone
great job.
It's someone else. Who was on the microphone?
Probably somebody else.
Now, Josh, you asked 32 minutes ago if any of these off-season moves were inspiring.
Yeah.
And I think we should discuss that and then move on from talking, unless there's more roster moves.
I mean,
I think we should move on.
I was just thinking about the streets are talking for Madrid. That's what I was thinking about.
Oh. I was still thinking about roster moves.
That's what we've been thinking about.
Oh.
Well, right. But
no.
It was that's fine.
That's okay then. That's okay. I did hear that Gen.G are tearing it up in scrims.
You did?
So
who said that?
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to reveal my sources, Brennan.
Okay.
But yeah, apparently Gen.G are looking pretty decent in scrims.
I heard something.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but it was a little passerby came by at breakfast at 6:30 a.m. in a giant lobby that was empty and echoing with every reverberation, every dropped fork, and it was silent. There was no music playing. But he came by and said, Sentinels are prepping for every perceivable matchup in the Swiss stage. They're going to be ready for anything. They've got their support staff working round the clock, 24 hours a day, building spreadsheets and Google Docs on every opponent. Preparation for every perceivable outcome. So, Sen fans, hold fast. Hope is coming. Even though you already looked good.
Yeah, they did already look good.
They won Americas. Yeah, I think the hope is there.
Kurt, are we able to put the bold predictions in now and then go to the other stuff? Is that technologically feasible?
No.
I think I can manage it. I think I can make this happen. I think we can do it.
Because speaking about, I mean, if you're talking about Sen prepping for every matchup, I am interested. Kurt messaged us all earlier today and asked us for the bold prediction of who's winning Madrid. I think this is one of the most difficult tournaments to call, to even have a favorite at. But you're talking about, Sentinels being prepped. There is hope. I feel like there was already hope. I feel like some of us might even have Sen as our bold prediction.
You don't think there's a favorite?
Do you think there is?
Yes.
Ooh. Okay.
Yes.
Ooh.
So when this episode was titled, this team will win Madrid, that was you, wasn't it? That's you that's titled it, because I certainly don't feel confident in any of these
We literally
teams.
title every bold prediction tournament episode the same way. It's not me. It's just like the AI auto generation for every tournament title whenever we predict the winner.
Should we go for it then, Kurt? Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were.
Press the button.
No.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Oh,
Whoa!
bold predictions.
Look at that.
Yo!
That's the wrong button. So paper X or
Holy
Q.
shit.
Look at that.
Wow.
RQ.
Paper X
my
have a
God.
great shot.
Let's try
Data
this.
division number
Let's try this
2.
again.
There we go.
Yo,
What color is it?
blue.
We have gone with the obvious pick, Bren.
Yeah.
The favorites of the tournament.
Wilkinson. We've gone with the obvious pick here.
Yeah, I feel like we've gone with the obvious pick.
You must have also been in the lobby of the breakfast buffet this morning. You must have also been overhearing the news that Sentinels are prepping for every perceivable matchup. The Tens is going to beat his Reykjavik 2021 performance on Omen. Never been done before. You must have all heard the news. I mean, I think the two teams that we've got, split down the middle, makes sense of what we've all seen so far. These are my two teams that I would have in the finals most likely, but also I think that anything can happen at this tournament. I think this is going to be one of the craziest tournaments in terms of just being able to predict outcomes. Yeah, but Sen, I had to give it to Sen for no reason.
Wyatt, why are they the heavy favorites?
Why are they the heavy favorites? A lot of this I am basing off of. Well, I say a lot of this. One of the reasons that I'm basing this off of is the fact that they lost their first match to Loud, and from there just elevated themselves throughout the tournament and entered Mihai's flow, the flow state, and won in the end. It's the arc that they went on, the trajectory of improvement and going God mode in the finals, the level we saw Tens and Zekken at, and the level that I consider John Cutie to be at is just, what is it, John...
quality tactics.
Quality tactics. I was going to say questionable tactics, but that's definitely not.
That'll be if they lose.
Because he has quality tactics. And so that's essentially why I've gone with them. Aside from, we could talk about all the other reasons of why the team is clearly good, but you guys already did that when they won.
Yeah.
That is the reason why I picked them. The trajectory heading into this tournament gives me an immense amount of confidence.
Mimi, why is the color blue?
Well, when someone asks me what color is it, I don't think red. And that's for a reason. Because Carmine Core look incredible right now. I agree with everything you said about Sentinels. In fact, in our last episode, I was fighting to have Sentinels at the top of the power rankings. I think they're very close. But I went back and I watched more Carmine Core. And my God, this team's fucking electric. I think their coordination and execution on everything right now is chef's kiss. Perfect. Very good. And the reason I give them the edge is because, in my opinion, I think they have the best read on the meta right now of anyone. I love the comps they're playing. I think their ideas that they're showing with the split Yoru comp, using that as the second dive agent, I think is very cool. I think that across their map pool, they're showing really cool stuff that isn't just gimmicks. It is going to be really hard for other teams to counter out. And I think they haven't shown some of the same weaknesses that Sentinels have in some of the maps. I think it's really going to come down to the edge, but right now, I lean a little bit towards Carmine Core, but again, it's really a nice edge in my opinion. I don't think you can say there's a clear favorite.
Do you think it's a hot take to say that I would take the field against KC and Sentinels put together? Because I feel like Madrid's so open. I genuinely would. I think I would, even though I would consider these two the two front runners. I think the rest of the field has a plus 50, a over 50% chance of taking it. I think it's that evenly spread between some of the top teams.
I think Loud do.
I think Loud,
I mean, when they're all combined
Gen.G
together,
all have upwards mobility.
For people who aren't familiar with the concept that I'm talking about, I mean, do Heretics and Sentinels combined have more than a 50% chance of winning the tournament? Is it 25-25 or 30-20 or whatever? So I think that, between the percentages you would give to Loud, PaperX having a crazy resurgence for whatever random reason, Gen.G actually looking nasty good and being able to frag their way through some incredible playoff games. I feel like this is such an open tournament. I'm not even sure both of these teams put together have it over the rest of the field.
I would be inclined to agree with that. Yeah, I think that this is the hardest tournament to predict that we've got, period, because of what you said. I mean, you could literally have a resurgence. I think if Gen.G keep playing like they were out of the gates of their kickoff, their side of kickoff, you've got a real hot contender. I think Loud could level up because of their international experience. I think Heretics looks fantastic at moments, and depending on how well they bounce back after losing in the finals, they have some really cool ideas, and I think that team can go really far. And then PaperX, you just don't know what to expect from PaperX. The only team I'd leave out would be FPX, maybe EDG, but I'm still holding out hope that EDG can show us that level. I feel like EDG are just a team that play up to their opponents. You could see just that team maybe just gone an absolute heater. Don't know if they would win the whole thing, but it looks hyper competitive. I don't think there's any guarantees at all that that you'd see both Sen and Karmine Corp in the finals, even though they look like the two best teams for me on paper. But I see where you're coming from with that take. Like, it's the best tournament that we've had in terms of the quality of play per team, you know, on an average scale in a long, long time. It's partly because we've only got 8 teams here. You know, you're literally bringing the best of the best from each region. So,
yeah, groups, some of the nasty good teams are going to get eliminated in groups.
Yeah.
I do agree with that, actually, Josh. Thinking about it now, Gen.G, Heretics, and Loud definitely make up enough that has to be nearing 50%.
Sure.
Between the three. Like, even if it's shy of it a bit, and then you just, Paper X maybe an off chance, FPX 1%, and then and then EDG maybe a small amount. So yeah, I think you're right.
What's going to bother me the most is that there are so many people out there with so many different takes, all quite reasonable, but one subsection of those people are going to be correct without really having any, reason to be more right at this point than everybody else. You know, the Gen.G, hardcore believers, when we fast forward 2 weeks and Gen.G have won the entire event, are going to be telling us how obvious it was that Gen.G were going to win this entire time. And you could just repeat that for whatever team ends up winning it, right? They're just going to go back.
How could you doubt Loud with all that international experience? Didn't you learn anything from Tokyo? How could you doubt them?
But the thing is, there's just reasons for every team to be really, really good. And so you can do that literally for any team, arguing with the benefit of hindsight. But that just makes it such a cool tournament to follow, I think.
My, participation trophy idea is that, I'm not arguing that every team can't make it and there's not an argument for any team to win. It's that there's an argument for every team to win. And everyone could be a winner, but it's only one. I don't know what I just said.
God.
How are they going to all win, Mimi, when half of them get eliminated in groups?
Liberals are ruining this country. I'm going to tell you that right now.
She thinks the color's blue, eh?
These second place trophies fucking ruining society.
Let me tell you. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's a reason every team could win, except for one. I think there's
FPX when they beat Karmine Corp, you are going to be coping.
There's no fucking way, man.
Nope.
All right, well let's get onto the round 1 predictions then, because FPX play against Karmine Corp to open, which for Mimi and me has got to be the top of our power rankings versus the bottom of our power rankings. Yeah. So surely we're predicting Karmine Corp to easily win this game with no with no problems, right?
Yeah.
Why does your face say I see a disaster coming?
It was simply an act of preparation. That is all. It's just, it's like building a bunker in case of war, which also, reasonably I'd be doing with this fucking shirt on it. I have 500 MREs in my bunker that I built under my apartment complex, just in case. Just in case of the rapture.
Everyone else was jealous of Noah when he built that big boat and it actually ended up working. That's going to be you sailing away.
Dude, me and Wyatt look with our 2 shirts, we would hang out at the VFW together.
What is the VFW? What is the VFW?
Well, you know what the VFW is, right?
I know what the VFW is.
We'd hang out there together, I think. Grab a whiskey with a skull in it, we talk about the war.
Yeah, I'm not telling these Europeans about the VFW.
What the hell is going on?
What?
Yeah, I'm just getting American.
I'm feeling patriotic today.
Dude, I'm so free.
Well,
I can't be a patriot. I can't be a couple free patriots, huh?
I want to ask you, what are the chances of an upset here?
I think less than 1%.
0.
I think less than 1% for this.
What about Polish law?
I'm not kidding.
What about Polish law?
0.
I think you'd need to have multiple players getting sick and having to play ill remotely. Yeah.
There's never a 0%. I mean, I am a Carmen Glazer, and there's never a 0%.
I don't care. Even if narrate for some reason he can't play. He's locked in his hotel room and he can't get out. FPX have barred the door and he can't get out of his hotel room. Zeiss is going to play and they're still going to win. Like, I don't care what happens. They're winning. They're winning.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
They
0%.
do every
0.
aspect of the game is done better fundamentally. The stuff going for FPX is their cool comps with their executes that might catch a team off guard if they decide to not watch the VODs. You know Carmen Core are going to watch the VODs. You know he's going to be putting in the prep. You know he's going to be counter-stratting. Not only that, but they do the mid-rounding better. They're more efficient in terms of their attack side rounds, in terms of how they push and pull opponents, how they play the map, how they work their opponents. FPX are slow, sluggish. They typically only make 2 moves around the map on per round when they want to play a little bit slower. Yeah, they got hitters, but this whole fucking tournament has teams with hitters. There's no team in this tournament without players that can't shoot back. So that's not even a quality that you can rely on for a team. Like, typically that's what China relies on for their bread and butter. Maybe to go a little bit deeper into a tournament like Champs, for example, when you have 16 teams, it's like, oh, you know, there's just as many unpolished teams maybe there, and they can win out with that mechanical outplay. It's not going to happen against Carmen Core. This team is looking like the number 1, number 2 favorite in the tournament to be making it to the finals. It's less than 1%. It's less than 1%. And you might think I'm fucking cursing something, putting it into existence, but I would happily make side bets onto it if it wasn't unethical by the fact that I'll put my fucking future house on it. I don't know.
No, I'm not talking monetary.
No.
I'm talking.
Like,
I mean,
what?
All right, what about your
house, maybe
firstborn
not a
child?
house.
yeah, we get to name your firstborn
You
child.
get to name
if-
my
if
firstborn
FPX
child
wins.
if
How
FPX
about
wins.
the Chinese fans get to name your firstborn child and they can vote on the name if FPX
The Chinese
wins?
fans get to vote on the name of my firstborn child if FPX win this match.
I mean,
Yep.
that is great content.
That is insane.
Tell
And
Alice about that one.
she's listening now. What do you think about that? She said, "Fuck it." She said, "Fuck it." She said, "Fuck it. We're doing it. We're putting our bet on the line. We're putting our fucking bet on the line.
Fucking Rumpelstiltskin side bet.
We're putting our bet on the line. That's okay."
Okay.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
sorry, little
you-
Timmy. Oh,
Dude, it
I'm
won't be
sorry.
little Timmy. It'll be little HFMI. You'll be, it'll be,
Little HFMI. Holy fuck.
God.
Oh, shit.
It's all
That's
funny and
crazy.
silly. I like having a fun, silly time, but there's a 0% chance they win. So it's all
okay.
irrelevant.
All right. Let's
I
move on to the
cannot-
next game then.
What do you guys start thinking about Brent's kid's name? Guys. Start thinking.
Yeah.
Come up with something good. How about IA?
Yep.
That's a nice name.
Yeah, that's a lovely name. That's a lovely name. Right. What game do you want to get onto next? I'm not sure the order that you have these in, Kurt.
I can make it happen. Just tell me which one you want.
Okay, then. Let's go for Team Heretics Sentinels. That's a banger matchup at the beginning of the bracket. And we've all gone Sen.
What? No.
On space.
That's not what the fuck. Nope.
I'm not happy about this one necessarily.
Yeah, this isn't a slam dunk, but
This is
It's,
not a plat chat guarantee.
This is like a 65-35 where we all have all gone with the favorite.
yeah, I'd agree with that. I think honestly,
Yeah,
almost
maybe
bang on
not
the
even
money.
65. I feel like Heretics have
62?
done a lot of. Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what number I would go for. You've called me out instantly by putting a number on it. But I
This is a
feel like
classic
the
62-38 game.
It really is.
but this is one where Heretics like to do a lot of reading into their opponent. They've shown that they're pretty comfortable doing some anti-ing, and they've got a lot of set play stuff that could catch Sen off guard, especially stuff that they haven't showcased yet. I think this could be a really difficult game for Sen to begin with, when they haven't played against one of the European opponents yet, and Heretics have such a specific style. I think this could be tough.
Yeah, I don't think this is a slam dunk by any means.
Yeah.
I mean, Sentinels look good, but like you said, Heretics have shown that they can counter strat. I think they've shown that they've got that dog in them with the way that they like to play. I love the way that Heretics catch a lot of teams off guard during their setups. And it's something that you kind of have to adapt to. I mean, you can keep it at the back of your mind when you're going into a match. You can understand the way a team like Heretics plays. Like, if you see a Neon comp, you know they're going to try and, maybe set up Flash Dizzy plays with their Sunset comp, and you know that they're going to try and fight aggressively on their defense side for like a bit of map control early, and you can try and hold slow defaults for that and have protocols for it, but they also do it at different times. They don't always do it straight off the rip of the round. You can't just have it at the back of your mind and understand like,
I mean, I feel like
we need
so
to be
much of
playing
their
players
stuff is
anti-flash.
like mid-round ideas. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that's what they're the best at. Like the like little set plays to re-clear space or the little traps. For me, I think the way Heretics win this match is if they have one really good prep on Sentinels and they can actually like get ahead in the counter-stratting department. Two, if they're actually being able to like action on these mid-round setups and Sentinels isn't calling in a way where they're getting around them. I think where Heretics can fall apart is when it gets kind of weird, when it gets a little sloppier in the late round. Because I think Sentinels is actually really good at when things get weird, playing more loose, leaning back on their individuals sometimes, and just winning out in games like that. I think if Heretics lose control at any point, it's kind of over. But I still have some faith that Heretics will be able to get that. The question for me is whether they could do it on 2 maps. I see that being pretty unlikely.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how the map pool is going to interact between these two teams.
They
I
have
feel like
really similar pools.
it does seem like that. I feel like Sen and Karmine Corps do as well. I feel like the EMEA teams have. I feel like both, like Sen and both the EMEA teams actually have really big map pools in general.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It's also because there are only 5 like quote good maps. Breeze, if you're going there, you're like flipping on a gunfight. Ascent, if you're going there, you're flipping on like fundamentals. And the 5 other maps
just
are
got
just
put
so.
in.
Yeah, a lot of teams don't like playing Icebox, and then the other 4 maps are the if you think you are equal or better than the opponent, the map you will want to go to. I think Ascent and Breeze are just so flippy right now that the best teams will be playing some variant of that 5 map pool for the majority of their games.
And the thing is, both Sen and Heretics ban Ascent, so that's just not going to be in the pool.
I mean,
so
Sen
whoever
could
has
also
to ban that, you know, they're at that disadvantage. But someone's
Sen
going
have
to
been
ban
banning Breeze too. So I think if Sen banned Breeze and Heretics banned Ascent, that's the most standard way you would see the map pool play out, I think.
And
Probably.
the beauty of it is
There's-
we get an honest game because of that. Thank God.
Yeah.
There's like a 100% chance that Split and Sunset are going to be in that pool. And while both teams are great on those maps, I think Sen are incredible on those 2 maps, Split in particular.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting. Yeah, I mean, they have a
They're the
very similar
favorites.
matches, so.
They're the favorites, but my God, if there's going to be any PLATCHAT guarantee that just looks silly afterwards, I feel like this one we're caveating very heavily.
This is just a classic situation though, where we've all gone with the favorite in a very reasonably close game. This isn't the 80-20 one where, you know what I mean? It's not that
I think
funny.
I could see a world where Heretics win, but I think Sen is a distinct favorite in this still. And I think guaranteeing this is reasonable. Because I don't think it's a 75. No, I guess 75-20. Oh, fuck. What have we done?
Okay.
It's a
What have we done?
62-38. We've decided.
Yeah.
62-38. Yep.
And
I
for
like
people
those
that are wondering, Rians is going to be here in Madrid. It'll be his first time playing on a big stage. He hasn't had any opportunity to play in Kickoff. It's also going to be their first time playing on LAN as a team because they've only been playing online because Rians was playing from Turkey, so they were playing with like 20-odd
What
ping,
if they're the
24
first
ping,
team
something like that.
the onliner narrative is true about? They just choke.
There are plenty of teams that at the end of the tournament, we might say they choked. And we might be like, well, of course they choked because they were rookies. And but you
It's
just
gonna
never know
be-
which of them it's going to be.
The thing is gonna happen where the narrative is that a team choked, but they just played against like Loud and Heretics and lost. And then it's like, they're choker. It's like, no,
I mean, I
it's
think
just
that's the thing.
all the teams are really good. I mean, if they fucking lose to FPX and then they get knocked out by someone, like, sure, maybe you choked then, but, you know, all the teams are so good. There's, you know.
Yeah. In my opinion, this will
Fake
be the
choker narratives.
most... I think this will be the most overreacted to tournament since lock-in. Players, like, fans will see, like, oh, Loud lost to, like, Sentinels and K-Corp. What roster changes do they need to make before the regular season? Like, shit like that is going to be happening. Because 7 out of 8 of these teams, you could consider a playoff contender. And, like, if any of them lose early, some of those teams, like, just have to go out 0-2. That just has to happen. At least one of the teams we all think could be a contender has to go out 0-2. 2 more of them have to go out 2-1. Like, that is going to happen, and don't you fucking dare overreact. Don't do it.
Well, for Heretic specifically too, they just put out a video today, I think it was, talking about the fact that they're still going to have to use Paditech for the first week of Stage 1 because Miniboo has exams. So not going to affect the Madrid performance, but Miniboo's still in school whilst he's playing, which is like outrageous dedication.
But that does mean he's just going to be the best. Think about once Zekin got out of high school, went from being a great player to the fucking go to the region.
Yeah.
Just a matter of time.
Yeah. So anyway, that's something to keep in mind if they do end up going out. So all right, let's move on to the next game then. If we're talking about ultra bangers, I think this one's got to qualify. Gen.G Loud, because my God, if there's going to be some teams that are like in the middle of the pack there. This one I think deserves to be split. It really does. For any audio listeners, 3 of us have gone Gen.G with Wyatt being the only Loud believer. And Wyatt, I'm sure you were looking at our episode last week and we were wondering where the hell to put Loud. And I just kept thinking.
I was with Arden. I'd put them in 3rd. He was like,
fair enough.
if Wyatt were here, he'd back me up. And I was watching and thinking to myself, he's right. I would have backed him up. I would have put him in 3rd. But I wasn't there. I was tempted to ask to call in, to do the Kurt bit, to just show up, just to back him up for 3 seconds. But yeah, I would have put Loud in 3rd.
So is this just kind of reinforcing that belief that you think they're the 3rd best team, or is there some specific reason in this match too?
Well, I would say both. It reinforces that I think that they're the 3rd team. All things considered, they still had a great performance against Sentinels, almost getting the reverse comeback, beating them the first time, though that wasn't Sentinels at their best. But I think the Sentinels that we saw at the end of the tournament in the grand finals was an outrageously strong team, and Loud were still able to keep up. I will not be doubting Loud at an international event. And though Gen.G showed an excellent performance in APAC to begin this year, I am not convinced at the moment of... I would also consider Gen.G a serious dark horse in this tournament. Like, I would put them just outside of that top 3, actually. But I do not rate the current state of APAC highly enough in contrast to Loud and Sen and the teams that they had to beat on their path to qualifying. Essentially just, throwing Lev and NRG up there. And I consider Lev and NRG to be around that Paper X Gen.G level. And I think that when we get to the international event, I don't think that the Gen.G team is well-rounded enough to actually pound for pound go up against Loud. I respect Karen, Texture, and Meteor quite a bit. The other two, I have some amount of question marks about.
He disrespects Munchkin. What the fuck?
Yep, and
I think that's valid as fuck.
And
though.
So yeah, I'm sure you could say a similar thing like, well, what about Quick? Is he at that level yet? And that's certainly to some extent a question mark. But I have so much trust in the rest of the roster, and I think Gen.G, and it's not necessarily a detriment, but they're going to show up playing what I feel is a quite standard game, and I don't think that that's something that will be throwing Loud off in any significant way. That being said, I think this is like, again, I would give this like a 62-38 for me, for Loud being the favorite. Gen.G are a serious dark horse, and if they win this game 2-1, that would not shock me at all.
I kind of want to swap my Pred to Loud.
What, you've been persuaded by,
well, it's not,
by the Wyatt
I was trying to
diatribe?
avoid the curse. I thought everybody was going to go for Loud.
Really? So you expect Loud to be the favorites, but you wanted to punt on Gen.G as the underdog?
Yeah. And
I did the same thing.
You did the same thing?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm the only genuine Gen.G
flawless.
believer.
What? Don't get me wrong.
Don't change mine, for God's sake. I'm the only person that's solid for Gen.G.
Don't get me wrong. I liked.
What's going on?
I like watching Gen.G, but all the points Wyatt brings up and more is just the players outside of that, like Munchkin, for example. I'm seeing Munchkin take liberties with his play, and he was hitting his shots and winning these individual duels that were causing him to get away with it when he's going for these deep solo pushes as a Viper player, trying to get mid-round information on Bind, for example.
Munchkin is just Angel, I think.
I think that's going to get punished online on at Madrid. I just think that you're not going to get the same value, and they're going to be starting some rounds 4v5 when typically, I mean, to be fair, they won a lot of their 4v5s, especially when they were ecoing against teams. I mean, God almighty. But yeah, there's a lot of things that need to go right for Gen.G to keep that performance going, and it comes down to the individual form of the players. Can they keep that right and all the way through Madrid? There's a chance they could, but I don't think it's as likely compared to looking at Loud's experience as a roster, looking at what they've accomplished as well, and where you should really be penning them in, which in my mind is the favorites in this matchup.
Let me sell Gen.G then a little bit to you, because if you're punting on them as the underdogs in this match, I really feel like they might be the odds-on favorites even, because the way that I'm seeing them play, they're playing very good standard Valorant, but it's like new standard Valorant in the sense that they have good ideas on the meta. They're not just playing basic compositions. They have the KO Gecko compositions that they're bringing out on Icebox with some really nice ideas too. Their individual talents are astounding at the moment. As much as Les is playing phenomenally, Texture is right there in terms of dominating a region in the same kind of way that Les is. And they also have Caron doing something similar from the Smokes role, clearly the best Smokes player in the region, and looking like he could go toe-to-toe with any of the people in his role or nearby. And that's on top of also getting good performances out of Meteor, especially on maps where he can play more aggressively like he does when he plays the Cypher on Bind. I do agree with your Munchkin point, but I think mainly that just crops up on Bind. I don't think he goes for too much of those mid-round exploratory plays where he can get punished on all of their maps. I think that's a somewhat of a Bind-specific one. And one of the things that I really enjoyed watching Gen.G was that they were super solid. They had the individual skill, but then they were also pulling out changes to their playstyle when they were playing against different opponents. When they played against Paper X, they added in a lot of set strats that reminded me of what Heretics were going for. That were set plays that, okay, we'd seen them before. It wasn't as inventive as Heretics or Carmine Corp, but they were pulling them out at the right times to punish Paper X and put the tempo in their hands rather than allowing it their opponent. Yeah, and I think that's something that... I think that's something that might fly. We don't think about Gen.G as being a particularly anti-strat team because they do play fairly default Valorant. But I think they're smart enough to be able to come up with good plans against Loud, especially if Loud are going to continue running it. And I think Loud in this tournament have two options. They can continue running the composition that they've been hardcore going for, knowing that teams have got a read on it and have some idea of how to counter it. Or they can try to change up all of their compositions, and, you know, not all of them, but like the 3-4 maps where they've been playing this, and go for something a bit more basic, a bit more standard. And then I think they're going to be behind the ball trying to catch up to some of these other teams who have already demonstrated really good Valorant. So I think actually Loud themselves have got a bit of a puzzle for this. I'm not going to say it's a problem. It's more of like a challenge for Sadak to overcome. But I think that they do genuinely have some kind of like issue to tackle here for Madrid.
I do agree, and that might... Sorry, man, just the one quick point. I do agree in that if Loud do not show a level of dynamic play with this comp that they've been hard going for, and they come in with essentially a game that is all too reminiscent of what they displayed in the Americas kickoff, that is the Gen.G win con for me, for sure. Because Loud have displayed that despite playing games where individually they are not as good as the other team in that game, namely the Sen finals, they were still able to take maps and keep it very close, despite you having 10 Zekit and John Cutie just lighting the world on fire for that series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with, honestly, both sides here, because I think this is a very close matchup.
The centrist take.
I'm the centrist. Me when I'm sitting on the wall, Humpty Dumpty looking ass. But the reasons why I punted on Gen.G, for one, I don't think Loud is going to have time to reinvent themselves and to change up this comp, and I'm not sold on what they're running just yet. I think at times this new dive comp can look one-dimensional. I think it works better on maps like Sunset, but especially on a map like Ascent. I think we've already seen it be punished by teams like EG. And I think that can extend to some of the other ideas in their poll. And I agree with you. What Gen.G showed against a team like Paper X was really good at having ideas ahead of time. I think that fundamental style of Valorant actually matches up very well if Loud keep doing the weird stuff. I also think, in my book, QCK still not fully proven. I think he had some good matches in kickoff, but there was also moments where he was playing Jet where I was pretty unimpressed, especially in the way that Loud was kind of building and setting him up. On the other hand, like you mentioned, Josh, Gen.G, pretty much the core 3 players of this team are in absolutely unreal form. I think if they can, even 2 of them can keep that up into this event, if Loud is still playing the old stuff, and if they continue having these kind of good reads on their opponents and get some good anti-strat, I think there is a real good chance of them winning this one. But I think you're always hard-pressed to bet against Loud at international events, and that's why I'm considering this an upset I'm punting on, and not Gen.G being the favorite.
One thing that I would like to see from Loud in this is that I hope that they work on their breeze in this downtime and are willing to play it, because it's been a bad map for Gen.G that they've played multiple times, and Loud will actually ban Ascent in this series. I think that would be a major win con for them if they feel comfortable enough to play breeze.
Okay. Let's move on to our final known opening game of groups, which is one that we've seen at many Masters tournaments before, actually. It's EDG playing against PaperX. So far, PaperX, I think, are 3-0 all time, and we are split 2-2 here. Myself and Wyatt going with PaperX, favoring the historical winners, though they don't look in great form right now. And EDG for Mimi and Bren, sorry. Most of us were going with EDG being towards the bottom of the power rankings, I think. But Bren, I know you were an EDG believer. Mimi, I want to hear from you. Did Bren persuade you?
Yeah, so the reasons I went with my screen froze. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. The reasons I went for EDG here, first of all, I think the points that'll be brought up against them is that their performance regionally wasn't very impressive. Against a team like FPX, like we were mentioning earlier, they really got pulled down to level and kind of played into the chaos a lot. But I think it's consistent with what we've seen from them before. When they play regionally, they look a lot worse because they kind of don't need to be as good. But when they show up to these global events, they always start playing up to the level of the opposition, look way better. I still think we're seeing individuals in great form for EDG, and I'm kind of weighting that strength historically at international events and just great team synergy and great shooters to be their advantage. On the other hand, PaperX for me, they have a lot of those same advantages, but they're a team that is in such a nebulous state right now. I don't think they've fully found themselves as a new team with the comps they're playing. I think a lot of it is pretty off base. I think they're trying to play similarly to how they did with Jing, subbing Monyet 1-for-1 into some of these ideas, and it just has not been working to the same extent. So much of their play in Pacific, in my book, was really, really sloppy. And you can kind of edge that same historical bet that, oh, they tend to play a little better at international events, they have a little bit more time behind them. But really for me, I think this is going to be a close match, and EDG right now, I'm kind of willing to take the punt on them because in my mind, EDG is still that same core that has been developed for a long time, that hasn't had to change that much, that has a lot of practice together, and PaperX is still kind of in the adolescence phase since this change with Monyet. It reminds me a little bit of what they looked like at the beginning of last year, where you saw the potential of them rising up, but they were overdoing it with comps. The coordination wasn't what you wanted. I think they'll get there, but I don't think it'll be for Madrid.
See, I'm still believing in PaperX because I think fundamentally the style that they play causes chaos within the EDG's camp. I think in order to play against a team like PaperX, you need to be able to shut them down and then control the tempo yourselves. You need to be able to counter what they're doing and then impose your own will upon the game. Teams like Fnatic do this to perfection at times. I mean, mostly. I mean, the most obvious example being that like Lotus game where they 12-0'd them, just enforcing a slower pace to the game. Whereas I think EDG tend to go a bit nuts when the game gets chaotic. I think EDG are at their best when the game is slower, when Howdon can find the mid rounds, and when they can set up, you know, maybe Kankang in a good opping position, or they can set up for, most recently in the Chinese tournaments, Kankang's been doing quite a lot of lurking as well, even when he's been playing a bit of duelist, and finding the like smart moments in the round. And I think Bren's point earlier to EDG playing up to their opponents, I think they also kind of play like down to their opponents too. I think they just generally get caught into their opponent's style, whatever that is.
Yeah.
They don't generally try to stop their opponents doing things very well. And I think that that's a big problem against PaperX, because I think against PaperX, you have to stop them. You can't just feed into the chaos. You will lose.
I agree with that. I think I actually, after the power rankings, I went and watched the finals of China, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I think I would have downgraded EDG a tad, but I'm still holding out hope from what I saw in that Trace game being the standard, and the finals being not a one-off, but like you said, slipping down to their opponent's level. I just don't have that much faith in PaperX, which maybe I'm going to get scolded for, but this team they are throwing improv comps at the wall right now to try and catch up their map pool. They are really heavily leaning on their individuals, which of course is the PaperX style. It's W Gaming, they're going to run it down. I respect the shit out of that, but I think that it seems like they're committing into this triple duelist split comp. I'm in the what's going on?
Because your head is in the logo otherwise, because of your awesome framing.
Open your mouth and Kurt will feed you the logo.
Yummy, 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 yummy. EDG, in my tummy. What the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah,
Jesus,
PaperX.
I don't know.
The finals of PaperX. I watched that split again, and I'm like, okay, they're just gonna run it down to 12 rounds in a row, and they did throw in a bit more nuance to their comp, just in terms of the defaults. But this is a team. If you watch their blog post, they're flying by the fucking seat of their pants, man. They are cooking up shit on match day. They're like, what maps do we want to play? I don't know, and they're just coming up with it. Like this team is just anarchy.
Like NRG.
I love it. I do love it because, listen, the vibes are good. Famously, as a man once said, you get shot, you die, and PaperX embody that. I quite like that. But I think you need a bit more. You can't really go into a tournament like that with that level of style. It's disrespectful, I think, to the rest of the team.
Can you beat EDG with that? We're not talking about them winning the tournament.
I think, as Mimi's already mentioned, the global events bring out the best in EDG. I think I've consistently underrated EDG coming into these tournaments because I base them off of their most recent performance, and it's always a bit sloppy. It always looks like it's way, way, way down there, and they come to these events, they scrim a lot, they get back up to speed in terms of how the usual teams play from other regions in that short time frame, and they're always fucking motivated as shit to really prove themselves on the big stage. Like this is a team that wants to go far. Like they wanted to get their first win, they got it. They wanted to break records, and so far they've hit a wall in terms of where they've landed their international tournaments. I think this is a team that's not gonna sit by the sidelines and just accept like, oh, this is our mucky play style. I think this is a team that's going to be playing up to their potential that we saw in that Trace game. I saw really, really fucking good gameplay in that Trace game. I still want to stand by the fact that I think if they play up to that level, they look like a team that could potentially be in the finals at some point, which is crazy.
Yeah, the other thing that you've mentioned there as well that I do think has some serious credit is that EDG were burnt out as shit in the off season. Like a lot of what we've seen from them, they came out of global tournaments last year, had to go back into playing domestic Chinese Valorant while everybody else was beginning the off season. Then they played in every off-season tournament they could possibly get their hands on. And this is the first time they've played in something that genuinely matters. Because the Chinese games didn't really matter. It was to get into Ascension, and EDG were like pretty much a lock to make partnerships anyway. And like, who's not picking up that team even if they flop at the end of the year? And again, they're pretty much coasting to wins in China too. They barely have to try towards the end of these tournaments. So it is possible they are just lacking motivation at the moment to go crazy mode. And that's what the difference. Like, it's less... I guess my point being that it's less that they level up at international tournaments and more that they don't have much to play for outside of those international tournaments.
Yeah, I think that's valid. I said earlier with the Loud game that I feel like APAC isn't at their best right now, which I do stand by. But also, I think that people have underrated PaperX a bit from their performance at kickoff. I think people have been way too critical of them over their loss in the finals to Gen.G, when they beat Gen.G the first time they matched up. They had a solid, pretty convincing win against T1 2-0. And then in the finals, I feel like they kind of got owned in the map picks by Gen.G. Gen.G get a Sent first, which they're sick on. They own them. Then we go to Split. Paper Rex are sick there. They own them. And then they go to Lotus, which they played previously. And I just double-checked. And of the 2 Lotus games, Gen.G won 23 rounds total, and Paper Rex won 24. Like, they're neck and neck. And in the rematch in the finals, Paper Rex also just changed their comp to the Reyna. So that's another close one. And then they picked Bind, which they hadn't played yet. And I think it was just a total fucking misfire. I mean, that might have been a situation where they're having success in scrims with running the Yoru double duelist on Bind, and they play a match, and it's like, oh fuck, we suck, because that was just a total misfire of a map. And I think that series has put a little bit too much of a negative spin on Paper Rex heading into this event, because overall, I still feel like they were very good, just not peak Paper Rex, and I think there's still signs that Moneyet needs to be integrated in a more effective way with some of these comps, and especially I think on some of the maps where he's playing Rays. But overall, I think Paper Rex are a bit underrated, and though you guys are totally right about EDG and heading into these events, it's hard not to feel just a sense of questioning when you're approaching an international event,
sure.
Which is really my big thing. It's just they've left me questioning what will happen, which I know is the case for some people with Paper Rex, but I just feel that so much less so than with EDG.
Yeah, okay. Well, I feel like already these opening games are giving you an idea of what Madrid is going to be like. It's looking nasty. I know that Mimi wants to sleep, so I want to keep the last topic extremely brief and just literally ask you all, do you have any matchup that you're looking forward to during groups? Like, Swiss is going to be randomized, so we don't know who's facing who. Do you have any, like, all-star dream matchups? Because for me, it's
Sentinels, Carmen Core.
Yeah, Sentinels, Carmen Core, 100%.
Mine, yeah.
Oh, that'll be so fucking good.
Clout. It's literally, what's better than this? The 2 best teams at the tournament, and it's a clout match.
Honestly, I am really excited to see Gen.G against the top teams from the other regions, just generally. I watched so much Gen.G. I feel like they played an infinite amount of matches in kickoff, and I'm excited to see them against the top-level competition from the other regions, and just see how Karen, Texture, Meteor stack up.
Karen's a freak, man.
That's the sleeper interesting narrative for me, is the Gen.G are very good now. How good will they be a LAN narrative?
Yeah. Okay, then. Well, with that being said, I mean, that's the most hotly anticipated one. I'm going to... Mimi, you can go to bed. It's time to go to bed.
Let's go lay in bed right now.
It's a short episode this week, but we're gearing up for a big tournament, and we'll see you all live on the show. So, yeah, we're vibing. We're listening to the streets. We'll have an episode at the end of Madrid as well. I believe we're not going to be able to fit another one in, right, Kurt? So I think that we're just going to wrap things up at the end of Madrid after all of the matches have happened. It's a fairly short event as well. And then we'll have all of the juice. And we'll have all of the knowledge then, too.
Yes,
So we
sir.
can see how dumb we look.
Cool.
Yeah, so let's end things with the most important segment of the week. It's Wyatt's Weekly Award.
Sage down. Headshot. Oh, hey. Didn't see you there. It's Wyatt's Weekly. Oh, shit.
Classic. Taking us back to God knows what year that is. I can't even... I mean, that was at the house in
2021, I
LA.
think.
That was a COVID house.
2020?
2020. In the LA house.
Holy
time
shit.
flies now. We're getting old out here.
It's
Crazy.
4 years ago.
I have a sleeper pick for this
Okay.
weekly award this week. People that are listening to this, they might be like, who? But I am giving the award this week to one of the GOAT producers, Pine, for GC this past week. The Game Changers Stage 1 was happening all this past week, and they did a fantastic job with the entire production. It was a joy to work the event. And there were some fantastic matches too, if you haven't checked it out. But yeah, that is my sleeper pick for one of the producer goats in Valorant for making it a fantastic experience. And there you go.
For those that
Good
don't know,
choice.
she basically pretty much I mean not solo produced, obviously there's a team, but did most of the stuff for Game Changers. And also when it was Challengers in 2020 and 2021, she also did all that. Yeah, I can't believe I fucking live with a Wyatt's Weekly Award winner. That's actually the biggest thing to ever happen to me, possibly.
Golden Boy always introduces you as award-winning analyst, and now can introduce you as lives in a household with another Wyatt Weekly Award winner. She's an analyst. It's more of a mouthful, it must be said. Okay, well, that does it for us in episode 170 then. Just a reminder, shout out to the sponsor, which was Into the AM. You can use code PLATCHAT for 10% off. We talked about them earlier on in the episode. And we'll see you at the end of Madrid. Yeah, for the wrap-up episode, when we obviously know who will win, because we're in the future. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.